We want to welcome anyone who's listening or not to this episode of R2 Tour Bros. My name is Thomas, and as usual, I'm joined by my brother Josh. Today, we're going to break down the best Sith helmets, and we're also going to discuss the most powerful Force user. Today, we're joined by our guest Gary. He is one of Josh's, I would say, lifelong friends. Gary and I share a birthday together.
So I appreciate you both for having me on the episode. I've been looking forward to having this be a part of the things that I can join on you guys. I would agree. Josh is one of my lifelong friends. We knew each other in 5th grade and have essentially hung out or been in contact ever since, even
That's a
whenever
long
I was
time.
away. Yeah, I know. And then, you and I, Thomas, we get to have, we're birthday brothers instead.
Very cool.
These guys have known each other a lot longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That is true. That is a
Yeah.
fun fact.
I actually, I was flipping through pictures and I came across a picture of you and I, Thomas. It was the 8th grade science fair, and I was holding you whenever you were a baby.
Yep.
I guess a toddler, not a baby. But
Wow. That's funny. Tom has referenced, I think, a few times in multiple episodes about, quote, his generation. And, like,
Yes.
he puts hard emphasis on being younger than me. So, bring up the fact that we have known each other longer than he's been alive is hilarious. All right, so today we're starting with we're going to break down the best Sith helmets, give our opinions on the best Sith helmets.
So I think to start, I think visually my favorite mask is Revan's. I love the visual look of it, and that first time seeing it in Knights of the Old Republic, like playing it, even though it was super low quality, like watching that video in terrible grainy, what is it, CRT, definition, but that feel of that excitement of some other Force user or like some other Sith Lord having it other than Vader,
Like a cool
was
mask.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'm tied for my following two, and it's only because of how I feel about the masks. So I think Darth Nihilus from Knights of the Old Republic 2, the history behind the mask is super cool, where he was hit by a super weapon called the Mass Shadow Generator, and it left him like hungry for the Force. And as it started to like decay his body, he willed the Force to like into his mask essentially to help keep his body alive while it was being eroded away. But then I think the other mask that I really like is the Stranger's Helmet, or Quamir's possible pronunciation on that, from the Acolyte, the Stranger's Helmet. And I like that one so much simply because of the look, the visual look, where it's essentially a sensory deprivation mask, forcing them to like seek through the Force. Everything kind of like Luke on the Millennium Falcon, the first time he was using the lightsaber and bouncing the blaster bolts back. But the fact that if a lightsaber touches it, it kills the power source. Like the lightsaber can't turn on for like a period of time. And I think that's super awesome.
I had to look that one up because I still have not seen The Acolyte.
So I can't say it's my favorite series, but I think there are some good parts of it. Like I'm not gonna just throw it under the bus, and you guys have touched upon it like in previous episodes, and I agree with a lot of the viewpoints, but I think there are good elements of it, but I think overall it could have been a lot better.
I am looking at the helmet right now, and it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. It's got like I don't know if those are supposed to be teeth, but they sure as hell look like teeth. Like
I think that's what it's visually supposed to like represent, as like teeth.
Okay. That just looks so cool, like a skull, like bones, raw, no skin covering you up. Like I think it's cool looking, for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna be basic. Darth Vader's on the top of my list.
Basic.
It is basic compared to all the other ones, but no, I think Vader is like one of the most iconic villains in cinema history.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just see a shadow of Vader, and you could recognize his helmet instantly, like in Rogue One.
Oh,
when he emerges out of the shadow, like you can just see his mask, and you know who it is instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because his mask has been the center point of this 40+ year.
Rain?
Sure, that works. Rain works. Yeah, I think Vader's is a good mask, and if you look into it, like his mask is not comfortable, and that's part of his whole suit is not comfortable.
I think that's like
That's
super interesting on the suit, but
that's designed. It was designed by Sidious to be uncomfortable.
yeah, to
So
cause
he's
pain.
constantly in pain, constantly, he's using outdated methods and stuff like that. That helmet is not comfortable for him and stuff like that. So I think that's such a cool, and he's still able to do all the stuff he's doing in all this pain.
Actually, I had another question on that. Didn't they say like Sidious was going to get him like better armor where it wasn't causing his body like physical pain, but then it realized like how much it pushed Vader's force abilities, so that like kept him back?
I think you're right on that. I do vaguely remember hearing this. And I don't think it was pushing him to do more as like push his force abilities. I think it was hindering his force abilities because he's distracted by his pain. I quite honestly think Palpatine would have lost him if he made him not go through so much pain. Because
So-
you could see in a bunch of the different episodes where he's kind of questioning Palpatine's orders. In that Vader run, you can see he's kind of questioning Palpatine and stuff like that.
The Vader comic run.
Yes.
Vader, or like Anakin Vader, he felt that his whole like every time he tried to do something right, it went horribly wrong, and every time he did something horribly wrong, he was essentially rewarded for it.
Yes.
And I think that's what kept him is Sidious's lapdog, in my opinion, more than like the armor necessarily holding him back.
I think that's just one
Yeah.
of the factors of it. I'm not saying that's the whole thing, but it's definitely influenced him. But yeah, Vader, very iconic. Everyone recognizes that mask. I would have to say my second favorite would probably be Second Sisters. I think is the Sith Inquisitor, and I don't know if that's technically considered Sith.
Sith Inquisitor are not Sith. I think we can all agree on that, right? Like, you can't put Kylo Ren's mask on this list because he's not a Sith, right?
Kylo Ren? Yeah,
Well, I mean,
Kylo Ren is not a Sith. The Sith had done died by the time he was made. You think
but
he's
I mean,
a Sith?
he's still under the influence of Palpatine, no different than Vader was.
Do you
know what I
think
mean?
Vader
Like,
was a
it's
Sith?
revealed in the 9th movie that
Vader?
all of the strings were
Vader's
pulled by.
Vader is a Sith Lord. They call him Lord Vader.
They do, but they also called him Darth Maul, and he was not. You think
What?
Maul was a Sith?
Yeah,
Maul was not a Sith. I don't think he was a Sith. I don't.
I consider Maul a Sith. What's your classification of a Sith then? As if this is now the
Current canon would be the rule of two. Does Maul fall under the rule of two?
I mean, he did. It was Sidious and Maul. I mean, he was the apprentice.
Technically, it was Plagueis or Plagueis and Sidious,
yeah.
and I believe that's even canon.
I believe it is too.
So, Matt, if Maul's a Sith, then
But I definitely
that would
think
definitely
that
makes
Vader
Vader
is
a Sith.
But I mean, it's even called a Sith Inquisitor. I don't think it's. I guess it would be like, the Jedi Guardian. Like, are they considered like Jedi or not? I mean, they have the Force ability and all that stuff, but I don't know.
Okay,
Because
so
the Jedi Guardians are like the guardians of the Jedi Temple, and
yeah. So then going by that right, what you guys said, Darth. If he's gotten the title of Darth, then Darth Maul is a Sith, right?
Yeah.
Darth Vader is a Sith then, right?
Yes. So I would say
Kylo
then,
Ren is not a Sith. He was never Darth Ren. He never had that title.
But I mean, like, you don't have to have.
Well, that's what I think you need that title. You need to have
You
that
have to have Darth?
title to be considered a Sith, be considered a.
Ooh,
It's different. Like a Sith,
you're wrong.
like the
But I don't think he was
Inquisitors.
Darth Sidious. Oh, I guess he was
He
Darth
was Darth
Sidious,
Sidious.
wasn't
Yeah. See, the Inquisitors are dark side users. They're not Sith, right?
Yes, he's a
Not
dark side warrior, not a Sith Lord.
okay.
I just looked it up, and yeah. He
Okay,
was
so
not
that makes
considered-
Maul considered a Sith, right? He was Darth Maul and Vader.
Yes.
So then I stand corrected on those. Ren,
But then
Kylo Ren never had that
Tyrannus,
title.
yeah.
Oh, Tyrannus. Yeah, he was Darth Tyrannus. He had that. Everybody had that title before.
Yeah. So Kylo Ren is not a Sith Lord. Okay. Yeah.
See, I'm looking up like Star Wars like definition of Sith, and it's an ancient force. It's an ancient order of force wielders devoted to the dark side. The Sith practice hate, deception, and greed, and they're notable for their red-bladed lightsabers, black dress, and their use of aggressive feelings. The Sith look to amass power at all costs. And then it has a blurb about Darth Sidious, but it doesn't necessarily state like you have to
Yeah.
have the word Sith. You know what I mean?
So, would you consider Asajj Ventress a Sith then?
No. She's an assassin.
I would consider
Just
her
so happens.
equal
Yeah,
to Kylo Ren.
Yeah. Everything I'm reading right now, it doesn't say that Kylo Ren is a Sith Lord.
Or any of the Inquisitors. I mean, Ren
Yeah.
would be more powerful than the Inquisitors, but
I mean, they're just dark side force users is all they are.
right, like there's a lot of light side force users who aren't Jedi.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I just came into this assuming that all dark side force users are Sith. And just light side force users are.
Well, who did you say that I started?
I said a Sith Inquisitor,
A
but
Sith Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I
Okay.
just still just like the helmet. I
Yeah,
mean, I think
we
it's
could
the
do
one
dark
cool.
side users. We can just make it that. The Sith Inquisitors are cool.
But and then Nihilus was my last one. Just yeah,
Yeah.
still really cool.
That's a good choice, Tom. I like that choice.
I'll go now, and good thing I'm going last because I think you're both right. So I'll have to say, like, for nostalgia reasons, like, you can put Vader on there for Tom's explanation, as he's like one of the most, if not the most, iconic antagonist in film history. He really is. So, like, you could just put his helmet on there for that reason. His helmet was very well used in the movie Spaceballs. So, like, for iconic reasons, you could put that on there. Now, I agree with Gary that Revan was like the newest age Star Wars stuff, and it was so cool at the time when that came out. And then I'd also have to put Nihilus on just because it's so badass. But I like Revan's more. Revan would be my pick. Vader for nostalgia. I don't know if I'd put him. I'd put Nihilus probably second, and then Vader's. But yeah, those are very good three that were on my list that y'all have gone through. So I'm gonna go to. I got a couple others. There's Malgus, Darth Malgus. Have you guys ever heard of that character?
The
on
name
that.
sounds familiar.
So
See on that list that I sent that I didn't know I sent.
So he is in the Old Republic era, which technically takes place a little bit after Revan, and it's not a full mask. It's like
Oh,
a
I knew that.
mouthpiece. It's much cooler than Revan's apprentice. Who is Revan's apprentice?
Malik.
Malik. It's cooler looking than Malik's mouthpiece, but it's not a full
That was-
mask.
You sent that picture of the respirator. I think that's who I was referencing. Was the guy from the Old Republic, like, and it's almost like that triangle piece that sits on his face or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Malgus.
That's who I was talking about.
Mouthpiece. Yeah. And then there's also another character from that same series. If for anybody who's watching, the Old Republic is the third. It's the third, I guess, in this trilogy of Knights of the Old Republic, of the Old Republic games. There's Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and then The Old Republic, which is the online game and still currently available to play. There are some of the best things that happened in that game or came from that game are the what are they? The cutscenes, the dramatic. I don't even know what they are. They're little movies. They're fantastic to watch. All of them. There's like 9 of them. They're great. Or there might be one for each character. So I don't know how many there are, but if you Google or YouTube the Old Republic cutscenes or films or whatever they're called, they're fantastic. Malgus has one where he just is a complete badass and takes over the ship. But there's another one there's 2 boys, and they're twins, I believe, and one kind of wears a dark outfit, one kind of wears a light outfit. The one that wears a dark outfit is named Archon, and he gets like this cool face piece, and it's like this half face mask. If you look it up, it's ARCAA or ANN. And his mask just looks really cool. But again, it's not like a full mask. It's like kind of closer to Malgus's, like a half a mask. I'm going to throw it on there because I liked it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not overly familiar with the Old Republic. It looks like such a great series, and the amount of lore that follows with it
Yeah.
looks amazing.
So we want to talk about just the most powerful Force users ever. And I think we can kind of just jump into ever, right? So we're going to go to Legends or Extended Universe and canon. We're going to do anything that's ever been written about Star Wars. Who do we think is the most powerful Force user?
I'll go first. Since I'm going to be wrong according to Josh, I'm going to say Vader. We already had a pre-recording conversation. He started saying I was wrong and stuff like that, but we'll see.
Well, why do you think it's Vader?
I think he was, since, I don't know, he's just the chosen one. You can see in episode 15, season 3 of Star Wars Clone Wars. It's called The Altar of Mortis,
You
where
and
they
I
go
have
to the
different perspectives of that episode. Go ahead.
But basically what happens is Vader gets, not Vader at the time, he's still Anakin, goes to the planet where the people who created the Force, I believe, if I understand that correctly, Anakin's able to control both the siblings, which are the embodiment of the light and the dark side. He's able to control both of them, and I don't know.
Yeah, so let's describe the ones a little bit more. There is 3 of them. There is a father, and then there is a daughter, and then there's a son, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the son is a representation of the dark side of the Force, right?
Yes.
And the daughter is of the light side of the Force. Now, those 3, or at least 2, are considered immortal as long as the father's still alive. They are, I don't know if you're right about the creators of the Force, but they are definitely the original Force beings.
Yes.
So the ones also known as the Mortis gods were a powerful family of Force wielders that resided on the planet Mortis.
Yes. Okay, so they're just gods essentially. So they didn't create them.
They
Okay.
didn't create it, but if
Either
I'm not
way.
mistaken, they are the first Force beings.
Yeah.
So they are the beginning of like beings who actually use the Force. Okay, so then Anakin does what to them?
Basically just kind of puts them in their place. They have quick recap of the episode. Basically the father kidnaps Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, and he tells Anakin that he's given his kids the go-ahead to kill them, but he has to save one of them. Like, you have to decide which one to choose, blah 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 blah. And Anakin is able to save both of them and essentially make them his bitch.
So
Yeah.
I have a question around the ones. On topic of the one, slightly off topic of Force users. Do you think had Anakin not fallen and Luke and Leia had grown up with Anakin as their father, do you think that they would have eventually become the new interpretation of the ones, because Luke and Leia being twins, son and daughter, to the father of, or like the children of Anakin, who can help tap in essentially to both sides, that they would have replaced that family as essential gods on Mortis?
I think that's cool.
That is cool. I don't know if they would have replaced, but I think they could have easily have been real, like, because
I like that
Or-
idea. My only holdup is who's gonna be the dark side child.
yeah, because
Is it Luke or Leia?
it's not gonna be Luke.
But see, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think that Luke probably would have stayed towards the light, but I feel
Yeah.
like if you look at Leia in episode 4, now granted, Alderaan had just blown up. She's like way more on the emotional side. If you look at her in Empire Strikes Back, like while they're on Hoth, she's yelling at Han because of her emotions and how she feels about him. I think she's way more in tune with her emotions. And because she's way more in tune with her emotions, she is more likely, or have a better ability to pull from that dark space and let her emotions fuel her force use.
Yeah, I can see that.
Real quick, why did she leave? Do we have an explanation on why she left Luke's school?
So, according to StarWars.com, she left because she sensed it would lead to the death of her son.
Ah,
Yes, that's what I'm looking at right now.
okay.
But I mean, like her force abilities, I feel like in episode 8,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think is where they are running, and she like is floating
Yeah,
out in space and like
Yeah.
pulls her body back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was lacking on skill or the ability to manipulate the force, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think she just gave up that ability then. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave up
So
her
going
training.
back to that, I would see more fitting as Luke as the light side, Anakin as the dark side, and Leia as the father.
Yeah, of the
But I feel like it mirrors
I
like
think,
that
yeah.
Skywalker legacy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
And so okay, so then your perspective of that is what happens in the episode is he forces each child to drop both of them and then stop from attacking and then kneel down and be calm, right?
Yeah.
And the father says only the chosen one can do that, right?
Yes.
What is Mortis?
Oh yeah, Mortis is the
Mortis
planet.
is the planet. It's made
Right.
of the Force. It's in
Made
the
of
Force
the
realm. I
Force.
believe.
Right. So, with that being said, and how he says only the chosen one can do that, do you not here's a different view. Here's my view of that. My view is that because Anakin is the chosen one and he's on Mortis, he's able to channel the Force in a different way. Not all of the time, just on Mortis.
Okay.
He's more of a conduit of the Force. He's able to manipulate the Force on Mortis differently than he can anywhere else because he's the chosen one.
Yeah, and I think
That's my perspective of it. Not that he is the chosen one, therefore he is all powerful. He is the chosen one, therefore on Mortis he was able to do something he has never shown to do before, or something pretty strong.
Wasn't the whole purpose of the episode was the father wanted Anakin to take
to
that
replace
role?
him.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wanted Anakin to go. Yeah.
Right.
So I would argue that Anakin would have been more, or I guess would have been stronger than the father, at least on Mortis.
Then he became Invader.
Well, I mean, just in general, like if the father was asking him to step in because he could no longer keep the children in line, and we watched Anakin hold both children at bay,
Mm-hmm.
then I would assume that, I guess, process of elimination, like if the father beat the two kids for a long time and then couldn't, and then he steps in and is like, all right, I got this, like no problem.
Mm-hmm. And then,
Cool.
so you think it's Vader for that reason, but Obi-Wan beat Vader.
I think Obi-Wan beat him because of the emotional attachment that they had.
Obi-Wan beat Vader twice after that happened on Mortis.
Obi-Wan knows Vader's weaknesses a lot better.
So
than
how can he be the
Vader
most
knows
powerful if
Obi-Wan.
somebody can beat him twice?
You can be strong in the Force and not be great at combat.
Well, that's true. That goes to who my number one would be. Or the ones. I think the ones are very strong Force users, but they don't know how to use any combat.
Right. They're good at, using the Force.
Mm-hmm.
I guaranteed, like, you put Obi-Wan out there, or Ahsoka even proved herself, and she was still a Padawan when she went up against them in the Ahsoka series.
She did have a good fight against him.
Yeah,
Against
Multiple.
Vader. No, there's one, and I think it's in Rebels. It's
she
the
died in
time
Rebels,
the
but
time
yeah.
universe,
Yes,
wherever that is.
that was in
They go.
Ahsoka. They see that in,
Wait, that's in the live action?
Mhm.
yeah, you see it in there. That's where you see,
Oh, but they reference
it started in Rebels. That was the first time you see it. Was
Okay.
in Rebels.
Okay. I'll have to watch Ahsoka again. So you think Anakin is the most powerful?
Mm-hmm.
You think Anakin is more powerful than his master?
Then Obi-Wan, yeah,
His dark side master?
his dark side master. In I think he has the potential to be more powerful, but I believe that Sidious purposely restrained him so he never could fully reach his potential.
Hmm.
But that is just from what I know, because I know a lot about canon. I don't know a lot about Legends. And I feel you two have a lot more to say about Legends than I do.
So I won't say necessarily like a huge amount in Legend, but I think like legend wise, in my opinion, it's Luke. Luke Skywalker takes it for what he's capable of doing in Legends. The fact that he could remotely pilot the Millennium Falcon, he was able to manipulate a black hole in the New Jedi Order. It was Dark Tides 1 Onslaught. It was a battle on Dantooine, and it was a artificially created black hole, but he was able to just take care of it, no problem. And he was able to like manipulate time in a way that people weren't able to. But I feel like canon, you could almost argue that Sidious was one of the most powerful Force users. And I look at it because of the sequels and the way he manipulated everything behind the scenes for episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Even to his rise of power, I will say that too.
Right. I mean, like he was able to cloud it from like his or keep his everything hidden, I guess, from the Jedi. All of the Jedi there while still being in relatively close contact with every single one of them, or at least members of the council. He was able to create those force manipulations and essentially transverse universal gaps between Kylo Ren and Rey to allow them to manipulate things or feel each other through the force, like physically feel each other through the force, not just like, let me reach out and check to see if this person's still alive while I'm going through torture and getting my armor put on me. Reach out and get touched by the force. But I think that I think Legends Luke takes it, and I think for canon, Sidious would take it.
Yeah. Now, if we take we're taking all of it, there is, I think, if you look at Sidious, canon Sidious is nowhere close to Legend Sidious, and my answer was going to be complicated, but my answer might have to come down to Legend Sidious, and only because George Lucas himself has said that, but he said he was the most powerful Sith. So now I'm very intrigued with Legend Sidious against like Luke Legends.
But I'm pretty sure Legend Sidious lost to Legend Luke defeated Legend Sidious on separate occasions. Because I know Legend Sidious, I believe, was able to create clones of himself, just like he did in episode 9. Or was attempting to in episode 9, I guess is a better statement.
Mm-hmm. I'm very intrigued by that now because I know that Legends Luke was pretty powerful, but Legends Sidious is literally mastered so much. My first answer before I dove into anything was going to be Darth Vidiot, who is known as the Emperor. Like I'll just read his thing. His name was Tenebrae, and he was also known as Vidiot or Darth Vidiot, and he later became Valkyrion, who is the father of that Archon guy I mentioned earlier. Now, he declared himself as the new Sith Emperor to rule over the Sith after the Great Hyperspace War. And he was able to live thousands of years to keep himself alive. He was able to go and take over other people's bodies, and that's what he did with that guy's father, Valkyrion. He ended up living through him. And he was able to rule over the Sith for thousands of years. He was unbelievable. I don't remember exactly when he died. Vidiot was able to die, transfer his powers to other beings, and fully control them. And I was going to say he was going to be the most powerful because of those things. And then I realized Revan was able to step in and kind of control him. And Revan's powerful, but I don't know if I can put him as the most powerful. And then I've read like some of the stuff that Sidious was able to do in Legends, and it was basically he was able to do all of those things that Vidiot was able to do and more stuff with the Force that Vidiot couldn't even imagine because that was ancient times. And then you bring up Luke, so now I'm just crazy confused. So I would have put Legends Vidiot first, like he's the first person I would think of, and then I kind of think like Legends Vidiot would destroy Canon Sidious, but Legends Sidious would beat Legends Vidiot, and now Legends Luke might even top all that because all I was focusing on was Sith users. I didn't do any research on any light side people, and I read that George Lucas did say Sidious is the most powerful Sith ever.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he said the same thing about Luke being the most powerful Jedi ever.
Yeah, it's very true. So now I'm like, okay, yeah. So Luke being the most powerful ever, Sidious being the most, Legends or canon, whatever. Like we'll go to Legends, I think, because we'll just kind of go to all, right? Just mix them all. Now I'm very interested. Now I love that debate of Luke and Sidious.
So now my new question, I guess, based on that is, if you have George Lucas stating that, Sidious was the strongest Sith Lord that ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that you have Luke as the strongest, light side Force user ever. Now, what becomes your new take on Luke essentially killing himself out of exertion in episode 8 to essentially force project himself to the other planet, and because of that he dies? Do you think that because he didn't face Sidious, that Sidious essentially created his own downfall with Rey and trying to get her to provide the life force that he needed to essentially resurrect himself? Had Luke survived, do you think that Sidious would have died, or do you think the two of them would have continued to clash over the time frame?
That's a good question because I feel like with the new movies, my perspective is they really diminished Luke.
Mm-hmm.
They diminished Luke and then made him like do one of the most powerful moves ever. Like
Yeah,
They took away his character, like,
yeah.
and
So
then made him
they
this
showed
kind of
that
weakling.
he is really powerful, and then they just still kind of showed that, like, I really think it was like an
Corruptible.
homage to Obi-Wan, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not my time. I'm old. It's my time to die.
yeah.
But
I feel like it was a mix between Obi-Wan and Yoda. Like, let me teach
Yoda.
you to an extent, but
Nah, Yoda just gave up.
the
I
embodiment
don't want
of
to
I'm
talk
too old
anymore.
for
I'm
this
gonna
shit,
die, as Tim said.
Murdoch.
Yeah. So you're saying if Luke would have died, would Sidious have died?
I think that
Or if
had
Luke would have lived. Sorry.
Sidious would not have died.
That's a
Because
great point because the balance, right? Greatest
Right.
Maybe they
light
both-
side, greatest dark side users.
like Rey would have never gone to the planet. Like Ben
Mhm.
might have gone still,
Mm-hmm.
but Rey doesn't go. And then you send Luke, and it's all of Luke is essentially the combination of every Jedi Knight because he's in touch with those ghosts,
Right.
or was before he chose to cut himself off, but is in touch and constant contact with all of these ghosts. And then you have Sidious, who is, an embodiment of all of the Sith, and you have all of them chanting and cheering.
Mm-hmm.
However, that worked out, for that movie.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of cool. I never thought of it that way. And then that almost kind of makes it like, I mean, I guess they'll write it however they want if they continue it, but it almost kind of seems like those two clashing and dying, and then there's maybe not going to be a strong dark side and light side users anymore, and now there's Rey.
Which she turned into a gray Jedi, I believe, unofficially. Officially.
That's
They're
I
hinting
know
at
she has some
it.
stories. I know they've written some comics and stuff of her, which I have not followed. But that's very interesting, Gary. That's how I see that. Like those two died as equivalents to the Force, and now maybe there's not the strong pull or push from both sides, and maybe now it's just Force user.
Right. And does that
Started
create better peace in the galaxy?
I think so.
Because you don't have the two sides fighting over.
I think so. So that's a topic I want to talk about, and we can dive into another episode for sure. But it's something along the lines of like, were the Jedi actually good? There's only a strong Luke because of a Palpatine.
Yeah.
Right. He had a reason to get stronger.
Yeah.
To seek that power, just like Palpatine had a reason to seek power to overthrow the Jedi.
Yeah, secretly for like so many years. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
There's
That's
just a
right. So
perpetuated cycle.
the Jedi Council, like the whole Jedi, not Alderaan. Where were they?
Coruscant.
Coruscant. Jesus. The whole thing, right? That's the whole everything. Younglings. Like it's a whole culture, religion of Jedi.
Cult wrong.
Yeah, I said it wrong. And that's exactly what drove Sidious and Plagueis to secretly go in the shadows and create the most wonderful plan to take him down. All right, is there anything else for the strongest Force users?
Mhm.
That was fun.
I think an honorable mention should be Yoda.
Yeah.
I mean, 900 years.
That could
That's
just be a species.
that's true.
Right, it is.
Well, but it's written that he was the Jedi Master for at least 500 of it or something.
400 or 500, something like that. Yeah.
Like he was the, what is it? Grand Master. Is that correct? Grand Master is the title.
I think he was.
Yeah.
And so holding the Grand Master title over all of the Jedi for 500 years, I think Gary's got a point. That's pretty impressive.
Now, was he just being selfish and not letting any other Grandmasters?
I don't
'Cause-
think it works that way for Jedi.
But I mean, like,
No,
even still,
it
like,
does.
you would
You-
step
you
down.
can't have multiple Grandmasters.
But I feel like Yoda would step
Just a
down
rank.
when he can't perform the duties, or whenever somebody is stronger in all aspects than what he is.
Yeah. And Tom, I think to your point, if I would have to look this up, but I believe you're correct. There is multiple grandmasters, but there is always one
At
that
least one,
they've
yes.
that they've considered, and it
The
goes
leader.
back. It goes back to the Old Republic, and I think that you're right. There are other grandmaster titles, but there's technically just one that is like, I forget what they call it. There's one that's like the master of the Jedi at all times, while there is still a council and still other possible same title Jedi. I just forget what it's called. So I do agree, Yoda being having that title for so many years.
All right, well, I think episode 6 has been so much fun as normal. We talked about our helmets, favorite helmets, and who's we think the most powerful Force user is. I want to thank you for listening, or not, again, to the R2D2 Bros podcast. We want to thank Gary for hopping on and coming up with some very good questions.
Yes, Gary needs to come back more often.
Yeah, yes.
I appreciate you guys having me. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sorry that this is 6 episodes in is whenever I'm finally able to get on here with you.
So good, we got plenty more episodes for you to hop on with. Make sure you vote in the poll on who you think the most powerful Force user is, and comment on your favorite helmet or the most powerful Force user. Next week, we're going to detour a bit, and we're going to talk about Star Trek, like Star Trek versus Star Wars, stuff like that. We want to welcome anyone who's listening.
Oh, wait, I'm not
to
recording.
this episode. Oh,
I'm kidding.
What?
I'm just fucking with you. Go ahead.